Listen, could you guys in the back move up?
We have to leave early.
I don't care. That's your business. You can, but if it's close, I won't have to talk like this, which my wife says is my normal voice. Sorry?
And I'll be able to.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's the purpose. Can you please, if you don't mind, come sit up a little further? I've decided that today I have laryngitis, and it's not true, but I've just decided it, you know.
Yes.
So it'll just be easier. I won't have to speak as loudly.
I like to sit in the front. I'm all for it.
Me too, because otherwise, it doesn't matter what the subject is or whoever's speaking. What I do is fall asleep if I'm not in the front. So, anyway. I guess that I am going to start. Now, of this extremely large crowd, some people have asked, could I continue this? And there's always a problem. It's the or. The answer is, Rabbi Green thinks that it's possible that at this time in 2 weeks, not next week, that the man, I think he's a rabbi, I'm not even sure of his name. If he doesn't do his second lecture, which is at this time, I will. I said, look, I'm not the Rabbi Ken is marvelous. But I told the office people who run the world, I said, please, I said, you know, I'm willing to sit on the floor. I don't care. Can I use another? It wouldn't be fair to the person who's opposite me. And I understand that. So it's possible I'll continue in 2 weeks. And if you guys will simply, if you want, and I know it's going to happen, just here, write your emails here or cell phone. You know what the best is? Does anybody not use WhatsApp here? Everybody uses WhatsApp.
Yes.
Great. Please write your cell phone, put your name in your cell phone, and I'll make a little WhatsApp group. And I'll say we're going to do this or we're not. Okay? Oh, you want a pen? You may not have to be a full service operation.
I like it.
Me?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And just say,
If you ask something, you have to get it. You have to provide it.
you're being logical. We're dealing with the Middle East. That doesn't work. Okay. I'm not going to talk about Syria unless you have questions about Syria. I figured what I always do if I'm doing like any type of mini course or mini series or something is try to explain in the beginning. I want you to know how they think about things, how they understand things. I'm not asking you to accept it. That's, you know, I don't accept it. But if the reason is, if you understand how they're thinking, then you will be able to at least understand, you'll understand what they're saying, why they're saying it, and you will ask for yourselves better questions. And the whole purpose in life is that you should be armed with how to understand something. Then you can ask your own questions because we're all going to go our separate ways in life. And if you know how they think, you will ask for yourself or other people much better questions. Now, we're doing, because it's Hanukkah, we're doing Hallel, the Hallel. And one of the things that one of the Mizmorim, one of the Tehillim that we say is Psalm 115. And if you don't do what I just said, that is, try to think about it as they do, you will be guilty of as follows. I'll read this in English if I can find it. They have a mouth, but can't speak. They have eyes, but cannot see. They have ears, but cannot hear. They have a nose, and they cannot smell, and we can go on and on. What's the point? what are they arguing? And what is the guy who composed this song? What is he arguing for? You gotta understand what's going on. Otherwise, it's gonna be, you'll make all sorts of silly things and it won't mean anything. That's all I'm asking you to do. And I promise you that everybody in this room can do it. Ma'am, please, in the back, if you don't mind, I need to be able to scream at my wife. And I'll have laryngitis. Could you move up a bit,
I
please?
can hear perfect.
But I don't want to talk this early because I have to start up the screen. I beg you, if you don't mind, okay? Now, does anybody, do people know basic Hebrew here? How the Hebrew language works? Okay, almost all words in Hebrew are based on 3-letter roots, meaning anything to do with opening should have a pay. In Arabic, they don't have a pay, they have only a f. There's not, a taf they have. And this, the het, that's the right pronunciation. I can prove that to you as well, but that's for another time. Has anything to do with opening. Now, Arabic is really a sister language to Hebrew, meaning that the roots are usually what's in Arabic is in Hebrew. Now, let me ask you, I assume none of you know Arabic, I assume. Now, I ask you, the idea in Arabic, since they don't have a p, Arabic also has, like Hebrew, 3-letter roots. Now, p is a f, and to prove they have no, there's a place called Palestine. It's a Roman invention. No, they can't even say, they will, if they have to speak English, they will say Palestine, the Bible of Palestine, and plastic. There's a joke in Arabic that they see all the, it is the former president of Egypt is saying to his people, George Bush was president, and on every door there is either Bush or Bull, right? Bush the door open or Bull the door. So Bush was the president. So his name was on every door. I want my name on every door. But see, if you think of it in Arabic terms, you get how to think about things. Now, the idea of opening in Arabic is also fatah. Fatahtu, I open. Fatahta, up to a guy, anta fatahta. Anti, that's at, fatahti. Huwa fatah. Hiya fatha. Nahna fatahna. Antum, which the real is what it was in ancient Hebrew. Antem, it's in Aramaic, it's also antu, antum. Antum fatahtum. Home, what's home in Arabic? Anybody know? They. You don't know Arabic, do you?
No.
But you figured it out. That's all I'm asking you to do. Hum fatahu, or fathu, they will say in spoken. You can ana aftah. Bab, bab is door in Arabic. Like baba mitzia, baba kama. Ana aftah. Anta taftah. Anti taftahi. Huwa yiftah. هي تفتح. نحن نفتح. أنتم you تفتحوا هم يفتحوا. You heard it. You don't know Arabic, but you got this if you know basic Hebrew. Now, that means to open, but it means something else in Arabic to the Muslim mind. It means to open a land, to conquer a land for Islam. Fatah to open the door, but remember there's an organization, Al-Fatah.
Yeah.
Fatah, Fatah, Al-Fatah. Al-Fatah. What does it mean? It means a Muslim conquest. Now, they open the the land to Islam. One other thing, once it's open, it's like a roach motel. There's no way out. You can check in, but you can't check out. So once a land becomes Muslim, it is Muslim forever. Make sense, guys?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, that's one. Now, anybody want to convert to Islam right now? It's one phrase you say 3 times, and you're a Muslim. We could all do it together if you'd like.
No, thank you.
Okay, just say, la. Anytime you have a long ah in Arabic, it's o in Hebrew. So what does the word la mean in Arabic?
No, you don't.
No,
Oh,
la. La ilaha, which is Elohim. You hear alif lamed hey. I know I'm not supposed to say, but I want you to get it. Illah in Hebrew, alif lamed alif. It's alif lam alif and illah, Allah. Allah we hear is the name of God. Believe me, the Muslim God has different qualities than ours, just like the word fatah has another meaning, you see, but you can see that open. Now, if you say La ilaha illallah, Muhammad, you know, Rasul is the only word which is like in Hebrew, means the messenger of Rasulullah. Say it 3 times, and guess what, guys? You're a Muslim. But what's the problem in Islam? The moment you become a Muslim,
Always.
and you can't check out. You're in, it's like land. Once your land is Muslim, it's forever. And once it has been open to Islam, it's not our person. And what is the punishment if you try to leave?
yeah.
That's right. So once you say it 3 times, and I have said it more than 3 times in my life, but I'm a nice little Jewish boy. Still act that way, even though I guess I'm a bit older. Anyway, so why is this important? Now I ask you, put on your Muslim thinking caps now. And we're going to leave the Jewish land that Hashem gave us on the side for a moment. And I'm going to ask you, in Spain, I'm going to give you, you know where Spain is, it's kind of far away, right? And none of us have any emotional connection with Spain, I guess, right? Nobody's from Spain here? Okay, that's good. Islam, the Muslims conquered Spain in 712. CEAD or whatever you wish to call it. And the Catholics took it all back by 1492, right? What year are we in, guys?
2025.
Well, we're on the cusp there like that. But yeah, let's just say for the moment, we're in 2024. I ask you now, thinking like Muslims, to whom does Spain belong in 2024, 25?
Michael. No.
Why?
Oh, why me nation?
That's all I don't care about what you think. I'm to put on your Muslim minds, which is what we're trying to do here, right? So whom does it belong to?
It belongs to the Muslims because it once belonged to the Muslims,
Islam.
therefore it will always belong to the Muslims.
Islam.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. It belongs to the Muslims. There's no way out, right? I could go for many other lands, but there's one land that particularly fascinates us. We're all here in a traditional shul. And in the year, first of all, from our point of view, to whom does Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, belong?
To the Jewish people.
To the Jewish people, right?
Right.
Okay.
Hold on.
Now, if that's true, then that means that that's our land. We believe that. But how do the Muslims think? Let me just give you the background. I said 712 to 1492 for Spain. In the year 638, the Arabs, the Muslims came out of Arabia and they conquered everything, whatever we think Eretz Yisrael. Whom does it belong to then? Of course it belongs to the Muslims. Every square inch, square centimeter, square billionth of a whatever. And Rabbi, Ken Grain here and I own apartments not far from each other in Jerusalem. Whom do they really belong to? Of course. See, now you're thinking that you.
So I have a question. I understand that
Yes.
from their point of view, the United States and Canada and Central America and South America also belong to them.
Will belong to Islam when they conquer it.
But I had read that they, so to speak, partnered with this concept of indigenous peoples, and that in that grouping, they're indigenous peoples and they're indigenous peoples. So the Native Americans are aligned with them.
I was
they're
born here.
aligned
I'm
with that.
5 generations in this country. I'm a Native American. I bet you most of you in this room were born here. Is that right? You have not? There, how many people have been born here? Please raise your hand. Well, that's way over half. And guess what? I would hereby remind you that you are Native Americans. And both of my grandmothers were born in this country. I'm really a eche Americano. I'm a real American.
Yeah.
I'm a guy. I don't believe in wokeism, and we won't we only need 20 more days left or something then woke dies. At least we hope. Okay, now I'm not going far off topic. I'm trying to get you to think as they think. And I'm going to apply this from now. I'm going to skip this, the second thing, because maybe I won't. Yes.
But if they believe the land of Israel belongs to them,
Yes.
how do you deal with them?
Excellent question. If they believe that the land of Israel belongs to them, and I'm going to prove it to you from their point of view, besides what I said, there's even more. Okay, if they're going to constantly think that, and there's no way of changing, unless you change the Quran and you change the Hadith. These are the basic, and no one agrees what the Hadith is. They all agree on the Quran. They didn't even agree on the Quran in the beginning because there were different versions. But it's all from God. And God created it. Allah created the Quran when he created the world. And therefore, everything and everybody that ever lived is, when he created the Quran, everybody was, let's call them what religion? A Muslim, right? Now, I'm sure all of you have heard of a guy named Adam, right? And I don't mean your best friend today. Adam had a wife named Eve. And maybe you know a couple named Adam and the wife is Eve. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the original guys here. Now, Adam was of course. And there's a guy named Moses, right? Heard of him before? Moshe Rabbeinu? What was he? A Muslim. And guess what? What are we? We're Muslims. Now, just that people came along and corrupted this, that doesn't mean anything. But we are Muslims, and they know it. But we left Islam. Some of our ancestors left Islam, right? And that's why we are. So what should happen to us?
Well, we're infidels.
Well, if you leave Islam or you're an infidel, you have the same problem. What's the punishment?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you got to go around and have you heard of this, people? If I say this is Arabic, but Bani Israel. What did you say? Somebody, Bani Israel. Okay. Well, the Quran is filled with stories about Bani Israel. And the Ard is Eretz. In Arabic, there are 3 letters which became a tzadeh in Hebrew. The is one Ard is Eretz. Ard al-Muqaddasa. Eretz ha-Kedosha. Ha-Eretz ha-Kedosha. That's what we today call modern Israel.
But doesn't the Quran talk about Jews?
Please. Of course it does. Now, who do we think we're descended from? Are we descended from those people? Bani Israel?
Abraham.
But
Yeah,
are
yeah,
all of
yeah.
us, we think, descended from
Yeah.
the Bani Israel? Okay, well, if that's the case and the land belongs in the Quran, which is the word, unchanged word of Allah, then it's clear that it belongs to Bani Israel. But there's a problem here. The Muslims know that the Bani Israel are what religion? Muslims. And so they disappeared in history. And then there were people who left Islam, and they are the ones who created the Jewish people. And so the Bnei Israel that we talk about are fakes. The real Bani Israel were Muslims that are mentioned in the Quran. It is not us. Again, I'm not asking you to accept this, God forbid. I'm only asking you to think as they do. It changes. Oh my God, it means a lot. Now, how do you, okay, let's talk about the root. Again, we hear peace, shalom, and salam. Oh, they all mean the same. Do they? We already know that opening has a slightly different meaning in Arabic. Yes, it's a simple opening. But fatah in Arabic, futuhat, at, it's just the plural in Arabic. That means openings. It means in Islamic conquest. Anytime a Muslim captures something, it is Muslim. We understand that all they're trying to do is make the whole world Muslim. There's never, ever a peace thing. Now, and their religion, we have a shut, they put the dot here instead of there, meaning it's a sut. Now, I said before already, la, you know already now, you know, is law in Hebrew. A sheen is most of the time, not always, a sheen in Hebrew is a sheen in Arabic. Now, if you combine all of this in Arabic is lisan, lashon, it's a tongue. Now, so peace, shalom, salam. You see, shalom, salam, or in Hebrew is the like lo, la. Shalom is salam. Oh, peace, shalom, and salam. Oh, our minds say, wow. Oh, they all mean exactly the same thing. This is why the best thing you can do with a dictionary is burn it. Why? That sounds awful. It's because translation is like kissing through a sheet. Imagine you're kissing somebody with a sheet in between you. Does it really feel like a kiss? It's not. You don't feel it. And okay, now, in Hebrew, anything with a shin lamed mem root, I know its final letter is a different letter, but I wanted you to see, because you can add something, shlomi, my shalom, the mem becomes that. Now, in Hebrew, that root means completeness. Shalem, the Hebrew word shalem, is complete. Okay, what is shalom? I'm going to translate it slightly different. Because what we're going to do is translate concepts, not words. Shalom means bygones are bygones. You and I hated each other. You made my life miserable. Just an example. But you're a Jew and I'm a Jew. That's how it's like, oh my God, I don't even know you. Okay. What's your name? Yerachmiel and I. I don't care. It's your name. I'll call you anything you want.
Only not an idiot.
You're not an idiot. Okay, Yerachmiel and I have had. I'm at 75. How old are you?
I was going to say 90.
You stop clock. You have 30 years left. That's your 30 years old because we count backwards from the age of 60.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Yerachmiel and I have been really, we hate each other, God forbid, for let's just say 70 years, since I'm 5. And you, God, what's the math here?
20.
Okay. Now, but guess what, Yochanan? We're both Jews. And we didn't kill each other. But in the Middle East, if you hate each other, and different grand ayatollahs among the Shiites, then people kill each other because they disagree. We have many rabbis who can't stand each other. Do they think about killing each other? Not really.
Think about it, but they don't do it.
We don't do it. No, Yochanan, you and I, guess what? You was a project that you're working on. I saw you come into the room. You saw me like, hey, we got to deal with each other. But you and I very quickly are told by the group leader that we're going to be partners on a little project. And it's very important for you and very important for me. So we sit down, we look at each other. We both have feelings which are not good. And one of us says, okay, I'm sorry. From now on, we got to be friends and work together. I'm okay. This book that you think I stole from you, but I know I didn't. Here, take it, please. And forget that, God forbid, it's a chumash, some silly book. And you say, Harold, you know what? I know how important anything which is this color blue. That's kind of true. I love this color. Any kind of thing, it's all yours. We look at each other, we start to smile a bit. We get to the point where we agree. Give me your hand, please. We shake hands and say,
Don't mean it.
no, forget, we've put the past behind us. Let bygones be bygones. So what does shalom mean? You and I we can't say mortal enemies because we wouldn't kill each other. You and I are total enemies. Now it's like we walk out of here arm in arm like we're best friends. We know how to put this behind us. What does the root leshalem mean in Hebrew?
Okay.
To pay. What is paying?
Settling.
To give up.
Okay, you're a woman. I can't deal with you. Not allowed. You own the store, and this is your counter. You're behind the counter. We agree on that. This is yours for this. I'm stealing it. You just didn't see it. We agree that if this is yours, you give it to me. I give you money. What is that called? L'shalem. The ESIC, the business transaction. Thank you. It's finished. This is mine now, and you got the money, right?
Yes.
Not in Arabic. Bygones are never bygones. And that's why they're magnificent with dates and magnificent. I once saw I was in Jordan, and a father was angry at his son, and the guy was my age, and we were both around 30 at the time. The father was obviously older. And the father all of a sudden says to the kid, when you were 6 years old, you did this, that, and the other thing. In other words, nothing's ever forgotten.
Or forgiven.
The idea of forgetting that we do on Yom Kippur, excuse me, Rosh Hashanah, this is for us. Hashem gives us takdim. We have what's going to happen. Now we have 10 days to go to those humans that we're closest to, which are usually our family, our spouses probably are that we have the worst problems with. Why? Because they get angry at each other over absolute silliness. And Hashem says that this is it. And if you possibly don't like what's in store from you, but you don't know anyway, then you have 10 days where you must go to those who are absolutely closest and ask for forgiveness. Mechila, which is the real word in Hebrew for to forgive. And I'll explain why. Because sliha only Hashem can do, which means Hashem forgives us, but it's as if we never did something wrong. That's a very different concept of forgiveness. Human beings are not capable of it. Hashem is capable of it. He can do anything. Now, Hashem says, we will That if you go to all those closest and ask, and the other side is obligated to let go of the anger, and the other side has to ask you the same, and you're obligated to let go of the anger. You make a clean slate, Hashem says, okay, I'm willing to forgive you, but for Hashem it's sliha, which means it's not in the book anymore. It's gone. No, it's gone. That comes from because Hashem has. Here's another root for the moment. Rhode. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, it's not Russian. It's English. That's a M. Okay, guys. What? Okay. Now, what is the Hamim? It is something between man and man, Ben Adam lechaviro, and Ben Hashem and us. So that concept, we hear it, Rahmanas, in the name of God, the merciful and the compassionate. That's the opening line of the Quran, and it's the same root. Must mean what it means in English. But see, can translation kissing through a sheep? A sheep. Excuse me.
That's Arabic.
I'm not going to go there. Out in the desert, it is much more common than you think. And I can. I'm out at some point in the end after the recording is turned off. I will, if you're interested. I will explain to you why most of the Arab rulers say, and I've seen Turks, all this in Iran, that there is almost no homosexuality in their culture. And you may say, well, it doesn't look that way. It's all definitional. And I'll explain really what it is.
Homosexuals are killed.
But what is a homosexual? Remember? Slightly different meanings.
Can I ask a question?
1 second. I might as well answer the question.
Men is no phone.
Sorry?
Men and men is no.
As long as you're the giver and not the receiver. You guys understand me. The giver is fine. I can prove that in Arabic conversation. If a guy gets mad at another guy, he may say, mine in yours. If anybody says that, I know we're not, well, long before the idiocy of woke destroyed American society, and hopefully will get undestroyed shortly. Anybody who would say that in the past in the United States, it would be shame on you for saying such a thing. In the Middle East, power. So if you are playing the role of the power person, that's great. So there isn't how many people, men were prepared to have play the non-power role, the taker? Very few. And by that definition, from their point of view, that's homosexuality, the receiver. So therefore, you're not. It's not negative. So once you see how they're thinking, and that's all I'm asking you to do for everything. Try to use now your Muslim mindset, and you basically have an introduction to it. It'll explain Syria, it'll explain Eretz Yisrael, it'll explain all this sort of stuff. I'm not asking you to like it. I'm asking you to understand. And by the way, many Muslims understand the danger of this mindset, and they are afraid for themselves because there's no compromise. There is no concept of compromise. There is only the concept of to be compromised. Remember, here's another root here. N, Z, and L. What is nazaret in Hebrew? And they ask you, how does a runny nose work?
It runs
And where does it run, up or down?
down.
Of course, because we have something called gravity. So it's not. Or to get off of a camel in Arabic, nazalt min jamal. I got off, I went down. Now, I asked a bunch of my Muslim friends, is there a concept of compromise in Arabic? Because that root, you'll see in a moment, does exist in Arabic. You see almost all these roots are the same. We're going to get back to that one here. And nobody could come up with, because if we just did what Yerachmiel and I did, giving in, that's shameful. You were shamed by what you did, and I was shamed. So if we, what? But we couldn't do that. So we can't work together almost forever. There are very difficult ways of solving this. But that's temporary. There are temporary, and that, but let me, why I brought up this thing, Muslim here. Arabic, it means to get down, to go down. The idea of going down, nothing to go up. That's Allah in Arabic. Ain, Lamed, Hey, it's the same. You see, you're dealing with the same language. Now, nobody could come up with a concept of compromise that the Western concept of compromise in Arabic, Turkish, or Persian, all three languages I'm good at. I'm rusty in speaking, but whatever. And that you can solve in 2 weeks. And so nobody, because it has a problem of honor here, personal honor. And it would be very difficult for, unless, are you his wife? Okay, I don't know why. Oh, okay. Now, unless, what's your name? Marka. Okay, unless Marka, and you're a guy for this purpose, and you have a gun at my head and a gun at Yerachmiel's head. He's not your husband for this example, and you say we have nothing, right? And you say this is what you guys are going to do, and we, out of force, will have no choice, and we'll do it. But that's temporary until one of us is stronger. And then we go back to resuming, and I mean, but you or me or I, whatever, it doesn't matter.
What does that have to do with what's up?
That's the right question. And here's the answer. I asked all these Arab friends of mine, something which is equivalent maybe in Western culture, and they couldn't get around the concept of honor. Me. And you, I don't care, you would still, you may be 90, but you're ready to fight because your honor is at stake, and so am I. But we have this person over here who's stronger than the both of us, and she wants us to do something together, to pick up a ladder and move it somewhere. I hate being with you, and you hate being with me, God forbid, you get my example. Finally, we're going back to asking people, is there a concept in Arabic which is similar to ours in compromise? Somebody gets back to me and said, Harold, I thought about this galore. The closest word that I could come up with, or in Arabic, closest, is tanazzul. Meaning, it's a verbal form like halach, hilech, holech. It's a verbal form, which means the concept of being gotten down. And you can understand from one of the previous examples that I just used what that means. In other words, they have no concept of this. And so the Americans, or even the some of the Israelis who try to say, oh, well, I'll give this and you'll get that. And you'll have a state in the West Bank. And since we said that the land is Muslim because it was conquered by Muslims in 637, 38, and it can't go back, let's apply this to modern territorial problems. In the War of Independence, which when I studied first time I studied in the Muslim world was in 1973, before the Yom Kippur War. I was in Egypt studying, and where was I going? I do this again.
About that there was no compromise and you had to be overcome, you had to be subdued.
I'm going to get back to it. My mind jumped it. whatever, and I
About being forced to go down, about being forced to.
yeah, that was compromised, but it brought me to something else that unfortunately, at my age, I'm not what I was.
Well, the other piece of it is that the lying about it, agreeing to give in temporarily, so
Yeah.
that you can get what you want later.
Later,
Saying in one thing in Arabic and another thing in English. I'm agreeing, I'm giving up, but really I'm just using that as a
Yes.
strategy to get what I want.
I have the greatest important concept in the Middle East is a three-letter root, which we don't have an equivalent in Hebrew, sabr. Sl, which is one of the other ways that Sadeh is pronounced. Sl, b, r. And it means patience.
Sabor. That's what you think, sabor.
Thank you. Because the R and the L in languages, they're called glides in linguistics. They're very similar to each other. Because a S, a B, and the L can be a R, and we have something very close to it. Thank you. Because I've been thinking about this for years. What do you say? Mikol talmidai lamadati, viskalti. Rhode, you'll tell me, thank you. What's your name? Marty, thank you. I'm gonna pass this on to all sorts of friends who we've been playing with this for years. I've been doing this since I'm 14. 61 years, and I know good for you. And it's so obvious once you said it to me. Thank you. Now, let's go back to how do we deal with, because excuse me, sir, because you get my point. You and I can't do anything right now, so we give in. How do we give in? It's temporary. We wait, and we're waiting for an opportunity. Now, this is important. Near Mecca, which didn't even exist in the time that Muhammad is supposed to have existed. It's on no ancient maps of the time. And we'll leave that if we do continue whatever at some point. A place, Hudaybiyah. Muhammad is supposed to have wanted to have conquered Mecca. But his enemies in Mecca, the tribe actually that he was from, Quraysh, were stronger than he. So at a place, and remember this guy, Muhammad could not, according to Islamic tradition, he was analphabetic, he couldn't read or write. So at Hudaybiyah, he signs an agreement. I don't know how you sign, if you know, fingerprints, they didn't understand, I think, maybe I'm wrong. He signs an agreement with his enemies, a 10-year agreement. I remember what I want. The Rhodes Agreement, 1949. The moment I'm finished this, you tell me, please.
Okay.
Muhammad signs a 10-year agreement, a truce. That's the best word they have for how we understand peace. A truce for 10 years. In the meantime, what do?
You wait.
What Neil said here. You arm yourself. You look for opportunity. And guess when the 10 years ended? 2 years later. Why? Because Muhammad thought he was
Strong enough.
Yeah. I ask you, what does a written agreement mean?
Nothing.
Thank you. You're all thinking Muslimly, and that's all I'm asking you for at the moment. And so, okay, the agreement, he waited for 10 years. Excuse me, for 2 years. Then he was strong, and then he violated what appears. Oh, he violated the agreement. They don't have the concept of agreements that we do. Now, I want to go to 2 examples. One in 1949. See?
Roads.
Rhodes. Well, my name is Harold. Rhode, my family, R-H-O-D, singular. I'm fat, but not plural. What happens in Rhodes? Israel was supposed to disappear. Remember these 5 invading armies and all that? It didn't work that way. So the United Nations, the illustrious United Nations, has peace talks, whatever that means, in a place called Rhodes. No, I'm not from Rhodes. I'm a Litvak. Rhodes is an island not far from from Eretz Yisrael. Who is there? The different representatives of countries. The countries are fiefdoms. Syria just went from the Assad, that's called the Assaddom, I like name, kingdom, not dumb. Now it is Jolani Dom, the guy who's supposedly there now. That's another story. But, so what happens? The Arabs insisted that the lines drawn on the maps for Israel, they were not called, even in English. What, do you remember what they were called, guys?
Armistice lines?
Yes. You know a lot more about this than, you know, and you know something. I mean, I'm so, I already said that. They are armistice. The Arabs insisted that they be called armistice lines, truce lines, if you wish. What are truce lines or armistice lines?
Temporary.
Temporary. They're copying Hodaybiya, right? The world, and from that they want to take those lines, and they've decided, oh, anything before the six or after the from 48 to 67, it's going to be the Palestinian states. Now, that's what the State Department and all these other interesting people. The only way they can come up with this is to be. They have from Psalm 115. Thank you. Psalm 1. They have eyes, but will not see. They have a nose. They have whatever. They don't want to see it. I don't care what the truth is. Reality is. I care what I want. Now, I ask you the next thing. You know what happened, and so they were modeling themselves, the Muslim, after what their prophet did at Hudaybiyah. Exactly. That's the other thing I'm good. Now, remember that. Well, Jimmy Carter died. It's today or last night, whatever it was.
Thank God.
Oh, well, that's not fair. That's fair. What is my neighbor where I grew up? They said, never speak evil of the dead. You can think what you want. Okay, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you. Anyway, he signed something, the Oslo Accords, right? 2 weeks later.
Which Accord? Oslo. Carter?
No. Oslo. Yeah, but that was under Carter.
No,
Oslo was Paris
Carter
and
did the
Hungary.
Camp David Accord.
I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. I stand corrected. Thank you both. Could I have done what I just did in the Middle East if I'm a teacher? I never could be wrong.
You could just kill the students.
Then I have a blood feud with your family. But you have now said something awful to me, and I have to, I got to get you back. Okay, but let me just go. Now, okay, Arafat, and you're right, it's the Camp David Accords. What does he do? 2 weeks later, excuse me, 2 weeks later, he's in South Africa, speaking in a mosque in English because they don't know Arabic. And some of the people in the mosque complain, how could you do this? He said, I did what our prophet did. It means nothing. But we're weak now. But we will.
Wait a
be
minute,
strong.
who was in South Africa?
Yasser Arafat.
But that was after.
2 weeks after he signed whatever he signed.
The Oslo
Camp-
Agreement.
No.
Yes, when he was
That
in,
was
when
Sadat Begin.
But so that Bacon was
Arafat was in South Africa after the Oslo agreements, and what he said in Arabic was totally different than what he said in English.
no, please. It doesn't matter. In that case, that we know already would be the case. But what he used as an example is Hudaybiyah. What are you talking about? I just did what our prophet did. I didn't give up on anything. I'm weak now. But it's the beginning. Remember, we all heard the word salami tactics. I got to figure out on Camp David and all that. I'm gonna go. Because I've obviously confused two things. But I'm a confused person. Now,
Is that why Saddam had to die?
When he died, they killed him because
Marty. If you listen to the people who killed him, I killed Pharaoh. When Sadat came back from Cairo, he gave a speech in this language, this mystery language called Arabic that everybody chooses not to know. And he had to tell his people something. He said, look, I did what I did for Egypt. We don't have the ability, we don't have whatever. And then he wrote, he said, but sort of an oblique thing. He said, what will happen in the future will happen in the future. That's like saying, there's air in this room. I mean, it's like, what are you going to argue about? It's obtuse, it means nothing, and it means everything. In other words, I did what I did. Then, God willing, will come a time, and everything will work its way out. Now, I just want to end really with this, and then, guys, a lot of you seem to either I helped turn a light on, and believe me, some of you have been around you at least 15 more years than I, so you have a lot more wisdom in life than I do, 15 years more. And there, a lot of it I can see from the way you're reacting and your smiles or whatever, that something that I'm getting something across. I want to go back to this. We think, anybody want to watch this? What is the word? I said sheen and seen are basically seen in Arabic as a sheen in Hebrew. What? Oh yes. Okay, so we assume that seen and shin, bygones are bygones, shalem, complete and all that. We assume it means the same in Arabic and in Hebrew. And the Arabic shin for this root is a sin. And from that, we get the word salam. Salam sounds like shalom. Remember, oh, la is law. And so shalom or becomes salam. Except that root has something quite different. Salam has nothing to do with the Hebrew concept of bygones be bygones, the concept of Western concept of peace. Salam. And have you ever heard of a word Islam? What is that?
Submission.
it's submission.
Yes, so that root means submission. Submission to what or to whom? Allah. Now, Islam, put it this way. In Islam, for example, let's take, and I'm sure that you have a much better halakhic background than I do. I know more about Sharia than I do about the Talmud. This is true. We must accept what Hashem's psak-din, what his decision is. But beforehand, what do? Avraham Avinu. We are now. He hears that Hashem is going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, right?
We argue.
That's Judaism is one big argument. And you're the Havdi. You're from a Jewish point of view. You're Hashem, or I'll just use him. We're not other people who believe that God comes down to earth, and Muslims do not either. Are there 50 righteous people? Said, come on now, you can't do this. If they're righteous people, are there 50? Now who's on the defensive here? Hashem. No, there aren't 50. 45. I'll get my numbers wrong, but you all know the story. We get down to 5. 10. I always, that's your right. You see, I don't know these things. We get down to 10, and there's a meek voice or whatever way it's communicated. Yeah. You've got to get him out. Who's telling him? I'm, of course, I'm to tell the story, I'm exaggerating and raising my voice. I'm sure Avram Avinu didn't do that. But we argue. And Hashem changed his decision.
No, 10 years, 10.
Yes, he did. He got the 5 guys out.
No,
There were 10?
there were not 10, that's why he did it.
I know, but the point
There were
was,
not 10. 10,
Yeah.
10, is again family.
There was only,
And there were not
there
10
was
people
only
here.
one
That's why
man,
he destroyed.
because the son-in-law
Yes,
was
I know.
leave.
He took out no a dog, and he still a daughter, but he killed everybody else.
well, he changed his thing, right?
No.
He negotiated.
Negotiated, yes, but he didn't change.
Okay. But the point was that
He might have.
well, what he did was he said he got people out, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and there's, the golden calf. What happens? Hashem says, I had it with these people. I'm killing them all off. Moshe said, and he's, I'm making a new people from you and your children. And Moshe said, so what are they going to say about you? You brought your people out to kill them in the desert? No. And Hashem said, okay. You can't do this in Islam. It is total submission.
So may I ask my question? May I ask my question?
Yes,
You're not gonna answer it today, but I want to put the question out there.
please.
So we understand that Islam is monotheism, Judaism is monotheism. They believe in one God, we believe in one God. It seems to me that the one God they believe in is not the one God that we believe in.
Yes, it is.
Wait a minute. What do we have Shivim in the Torah? Both of you are right. It is monotheism. There's no question about it. But there are the characteristics of Hashem and Allah are not exactly the same.
Exactly. Very far apart.
Yes,
Just
and
as
it's
you
like
described it.
it
Very
just
far apart.
okay. Now this root in Arabic, lahm, both in language comes from the idea of a womb, a woman's womb. Yeah. Now, in Arabic, the concept exists really only between Allah and human beings, and you hope, but you can't argue with Allah. But we can argue with Hashem. So we're talking about monotheist, there's no question about it. But the understanding of what that monotheism is different for both. Make sense?
Okay.
You've given me such a gift you don't know. I know I'm being very Middle Eastern. If you don't say a million times, it's not, it's not true. Anyway, I think the guys, I know it's not fair because there's in another 2 minutes. Can I just ask any questions? Your faces from most of you have been fascinating, and I can tell.
Yes. You've used the term your Muslim friends.
Yes, yes, of course.
They don't have friends that are Jews.
Excuse me? There are many Muslims who know exactly, who are more concerned about their people and the ramifications, which is what I've been trying to talk about here, of what this means for them than we are. Because in the end, we care about our people surviving, and if they don't make trouble for us, sure, they should survive. But they realize that their culture is filled with ways that you cannot solve problems. You can come up with temporary solutions, and that is it. Now imagine yourself for the moment that you are a Muslim and you know this, and you so deeply appreciate the way the West, and that's based on Jewish values from the beginning. It's, what is it, Rome, Athens, and Jerusalem, but it's really Jerusalem, the sources of Western culture. We are so fortunate that we have this. And they say to themselves, Look what happened. I have dealt with, I was involved with the Iraqi opposition for 12 years before we went into Baghdad. I was in Iraq for 3 months during the war and afterwards. Imagine I'm talking on the phone via satellite with my wife and could hear in the background who was here. I mean, boom, boom, whatever like this, you know, I didn't, you just get used to it, you don't hear it. And I was, and these people understood the Shiites especially, they really, the Iraqi Shiites understood that the leaders said, look at what we're up against. Our culture is destroying us. How do you handle that? And there are a bunch of people who try, and they still want to. There is a magnificent writer, Khalid Abu Tu'amad, who writes in the Jerusalem Post. He writes for Gatestone, which is an institute in New York. He's more aware of this. He said, what am I to do? Think of it from their point of view. חבר'ה, רגע, אתה מוכן?
It's okay.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Where is that, the pad which had the, oh, it's here. Okay, I'm gonna create a WhatsApp group, and if we can arrange this, you'll hear about it.
If the class does continue, I would. Best if it's possible, have it at different times, so something else that's possible to me. I'd like to not have that. Class.
I have this number one with the office.
Right.
Or Cook McKinley, he's marvelous.
Yes,
Second of all, if I can do it, I'll do it.
yes,
This is broadcast,
yes.
so you can get it.
Oh, I can hear it, but I like to participate.
Of course. This is why Zoom doesn't really work.
Okay, I'll speak with them. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your, you know, your, I can see your face and all that.
Oh, I'm very interested in this, but you know, as I said, I really cannot see how their monotheism and our monotheism is the same
You
God.
asked the right question.
Thank you.
And I could give you, I could give a course on that question, and I mean that. I can do a 5-minute recording, and if you know my,
Yes.
Yours?
no, it's
Yeah, the
the Schultz, yes.
So I'm gonna do
Um,
this.
I will, be happy to.
I'll give you my email and WhatsApp.
Yeah, take mine because I only. Yeah, I'm not. Mine, it's 202. 202. Six. What's your name? Simone. Simone, okay.
The one that says.
אבל באנגלית, מה שהם היהודים, אתה חושב שיש לי, עד גיל 5 לא ידעתי שאני יהודי, ההורים שלי שנפטרו לא